I've spent the last 12 weeks training for my first 50K. With nothing left to do, it's go time. Welcome to Black Canyon's 50K. Black Canyons 2025. It is chilly and windy. Got about 20 minutes. We get this rolling. It's 2 minutes. That's in 2 minutes. It's 7 o'clock start.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, you good. Thank you.
And here we go, kicking off Black Canyon's 50K 2025. You know, I try to do my best to position myself on the start of these races and do absolutely terrible. As you can see here, we are walking the start of the race. Yeah, not how I want to start a race, but it's all good. I quickly found a little opening to the left to work my way around some people. The big thing on this race is because it's such an unknown distance, I really did not want to go out too hot. So I was trying to keep it as easy as possible, but I did find myself having to work around quite a few people. Absolutely beautiful morning to start this race. The temperatures were probably high 30s, low 40s. The downside was the wind was kicking super hard, making it feel a lot cooler than it was. Luckily, I stopped at the store the day before and got some arm warmers. That definitely came in clutch. Let's go ahead and jump into some of this 50K. Pretty sunrise. 3 miles in, made it up the first little climb with an awesome headwind. Winds died down, and we're just rolling through this field. Sun coming up. It's gonna get warm quick, it feels like. Heart rate is running too high. Probably because I'm not acclimated to any elevation anymore, but whatever. We're still going. So a few miles in, sun's coming up, we're out on this really nice single track, and I find a little group ahead. So I put in a nice little surge to catch up with this group. Turns out there was a few people actually that ran the 100K the day before and then were running the 50K. Absolutely insane, a bunch of strong runners in this group. I ran with them for a little while, and then the group kind of spread out. Some people went ahead, some people fell back. Feeling pretty good at this point. I had a good night's sleep. The body was feeling fresh. The only issue that became pretty apparent right off the bat was my heart rate was going to be running high all day. From the start, it was running at about 160. So I knew I was not acclimated to the elevation. which makes total sense because I spent the majority of this training block at 500 feet. When I got to Prescott, Arizona on Friday, that was like at 5,000 something feet, and the race was at 4,000 something feet. My heart rate was definitely going to be a thing and apparent for the rest of the day. I knew if I was going to put any surges, it was going to spike real quick. So I was just kind of keeping an eye on it all day. Let's talk about this single track section for a second. After Antelope Mesa, around mile 7 something, which is the first aid station, you get spat out onto this crazy single track. It was like being on a roller coaster, twists and turns every which direction. The wild thing about this section was that you were just absolutely locked into whoever's pace was in front of you. You had people in front of you, people behind you. There was nowhere to make any moves to go forward, and there was definitely no way to go backwards. This guy coming up on the left took a gnarly spill, was trying to get back to the aid station. While this section was so much fun, it definitely took a beating on the body, just because I was locked into somebody else's pace, and it was just a good, steady kind of downhill as well. So the legs definitely took quite a beating, and this is probably the first spot that I really started feeling some fatigue, feeling some tiredness, feeling like, yeah, this is gonna be a long, hard day.
12 miles in, almost to the second aid station. 9:50 average pace. Last section was like a freaking roller coaster. You were just locked in on whatever pace the person in front of you was in, all on single track. Yep. Oh, wheels came off a little early. Almost 17 miles. Still moving, but not fast. That last section after the aid station got super hot. So, pushing 10:06 pace right now. A couple miles to the next aid station. Might drop the vest as it's digging into my ribs again, and then probably just handheld it the rest of the way. The good news is, like, I feel like at least at this pace I can still keep moving. It's not like I'm completely wrecked or it's game over. Just definitely struggling a little bit. Oh well.
It's funny because on paper, mile 19 is where it looks like it fell apart. After mile 19, my paces definitely got slower. But yes, the wheels fell off. Mile 17, mile 19, whatever you want to call it. I was having stomach issues because I knew the space food I was taking in was not going to go over well because I did not train with any of that stuff. During training, I was only taking in whatever I had on hand, and for the race, I was taking in gels and chews. So I started having stomach issues. My body was getting tired. My legs were getting heavy. But rolling into Bumblebee aid station at mile, I think 20, I had my mom and my buddy Richie there. Actually, Richie was supposed to be running this race, got injured. He's the whole reason why I signed up for this and was actually doing this race. But shout out to my buddy Richie and my mom for coming out and giving me a little support. Definitely appreciate that. I opted for dropping the running vest because the water bottles were kind of pounding into my ribs, and I felt like if I was going to finish this race off, I needed to drop the extra weight. I managed to skip all the aid stations before this, so I knew going forward if I was going to finish, I needed to get rid of that. I opted with going for a single handheld bottle, which was a bit risky because the next aid station was 4 miles all uphill.
Hopefully we can stay that way.
I saw you picking up from the first aid to the
All right, man.
All right.
See you at the finish.
Do it.
And he's off.
Got like 4 miles to the next aid station. Just came out of Bumblebee. Got rid of the vest. It's digging in my ribs too much. Single bottle that is for another 13 something miles. Here goes nothing.
"4 miles to the next aid station." That's all that was in my mind. Little did I know that that 4 miles was pretty much all uphill and absolutely brutal. That handheld almost did not get me through that. I was definitely having to reserve myself, and somewhere on this stretch is where thoughts of quitting entered my mind. I'm not one for quitting, but the thoughts were there that that's probably where I would do it. However, I also had it in my mind that it was only 10 more miles or whatever to finish this dang thing. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I know I can walk 10 miles. This is also where a lot of walking / jogging occurred right before hitting the last aid station.
All right. 8 miles to go. Dripping wet with cold water. Some chips. Drink a little bit of Coke. Got some Gatorade. See what happens. Alright, note to self. Bag of chips and Coke. I need that every time. Man, that makes you feel so much better. Feel way better. Definitely need that chips in my stomach. Damn space food. I'm too busy training with real food, so space food definitely was not the move. Use. Less than 10K to go, and this little adventure will be Done and over. Cactus. Big old cacti. Oh boy.
The final 8 miles of this race were probably some of the longest miles out of the whole day, but nothing was longer than the final 2 miles. Those were like pulling teeth. I cannot believe how long the final 2 miles took.
I think that's the last punch. That's a steep one. Shoot.
A lot of that was due to the fact that the descents were not very easy. They were chunky, they were technical. I had to walk a lot of the downhills. And then there was 2 really big climbs that came out of washes that just took forever. But it was also at this point where I was enjoying myself so much, enjoying being so miserable.
Well, I think it's safe to say sub 6 is not on the cards today. Gave it a try. It's all good. I am going to finish it. That matters. I'll be stoked just to finish at this point. I don't feel too terrible. Just feet are super tired. Big cacti. Yeah. Just ready to get off my feet. Have something cold to drink. Chill. But I gave it a try. Not this time.
I knew I was probably not going to hit that sub 6 hours. I knew, I wasn't going to get a good finishing position, but none of that mattered.
Good news, I think I can see the finish. Bad news, there's a giant hill to climb first. Ugh. Cactus.
All that I cared about in the moment was being present, being absolutely miserable, and just relishing in the fact of all the hard work that I put in, the fact that I was going to finish this, the fact that I was still able to move.
Actually gonna get this thing done, damn. Longest last 8 miles of my life, but whatever. Let's frickin' go.
So freaking proud of myself for everything that I've put in to come so far and to just suffer out these last few miles. Yeah, there was a lot of realizations, a lot of learnings in those last couple miles, and I couldn't have been more grateful for that.
Nice event!
Welcome to the finish line. That's Nick Pinto. And Michael Miller. Well done on that 50K.
Might have not been the time I wanted, but managed to get it done. Black Canyons 2025, done and dusted. Calories. Lots of calories.